Perfect. That sounds good.
So first, before to begin the day two, do you have any questions about the first day you had? I think it's last month.
Yeah, that was last month. We don't have any questions straight up, but of course, I mean, when we get to implementing and when we get to changing things, we might need some help. But that is going to be need based. But as of now, I don't think we have any question.
Okay, great. So on the day two, we are speaking to something more technical, more specific. Is about our CSS and JavaScript file head script and tracking code because um, we have to prevent, in fact, content manager to don't do some things, bad things, because else you can impact performance of your website, SEO of your website. After we'll go directly to dynamic pages because on Sitecore on the day one we speak only about static pages. So here all dynamic pages can be blog, resources, news, and job search and branch locator. All these item in fact is dynamic pages. And after so we can see that, but this is normally not in the day two. And after, yeah, we'll just prevent to about performance or improve your performance on your website, or make sure all your custom HTML can be responsible. Normally, you have all this answer, but this is just a recap, and yeah, we'll speak about this all dynamic things today. So first, so I connect to Sitecore in the classical way. And there I have your website, and here we have our classical website. So to configure, in fact, CSS, CSS will be in the media library. So Adeco Groups, hello, business unit to have a custom CSS and custom JavaScript, but it's really recommend to not use every day. So we really recommend to use the global CSS, all the global classes, all the global functions in JavaScript and all these things, because more CSS you have and more it will impact the user laptop or the user computer, and the worst one is the user smartphone, because the smartphone have some difficulty with internet connections to run their CSS or JavaScript. So here in Media Library, we go directly to your folder, and this is only the folder you can access. So here, if you see, we have some images in the roots Media Library. So this is a small recap, but business unit cannot add images under the roots of Media Library. So all your images have to be in the correct folder, even if tomorrow you have a spring or your engineering, you have to go through all these different folder and put your media in the correct media folder. So here it will be there. No. So here we have four folder, like I explained last time. So this is the standard folder. You will always have this one. So we have CSS and GS. This is a blue folder, and after we have made a font and media folder. So why the first one is blue? This is just because Sitecore, in fact, will generate a bundle of all these different files, or if it's not a bundle, just Sitecore will just list all the different files and put it directly in your HTML code. So this is just to explain this folder is used by Sitecore. So here, if I expand, whoa, I have already many different CSS, so this is strange. Normally, a website should not have a lot of CSS like that because we already have the global CSS for the brand. So in the brand, we have all the different informations. Like here, this is a global CSS, and we already have Hideko CSS. So this is strange. So be careful with all this CSS because it seems to be a big one. So this is where you will put, in fact, your CSS. You just need to insert your file to make it visible on your website. Like for images, be careful with the CDN and the cache. because the CDN and the cache can make 2 hours to be refresh your file. So if tomorrow you want to modify a line in your CSS file, so you will change it, and after you will try to publish it, you will see your change in the CM environment, so in pre-productions, but you will not see it in production. So this is only because you have to wait 2 hours to be sure your cache and the CDN will be refreshed. So to modify some things on the CSS or to bring some modifications or to add a file, you just need to click in the main folder, and after you can directly upload, and here you can upload the CSS file, and this CSS file will be rendered in Sidecar in your HTML pages. So it's recommended if you bring some custom CSS to already compress them, the code, but normally the system did that. So here, when you want to modify a CSS file, you have two way. You have the fast way, so it's not the clean way. So this is mean you can delete and re-add. And after we have another way, you can in fact remove the file and re-upload it. So this one is a better one. So for example, here I can download the file. So I have my Hadeco 2016. So yeah, this is not normal to have that in the website. And here I can bring some few codes, few modification, and when I've done, I will just, in fact, lock and edit the file. And here I will detach the file and attach the new one. So in fact, the modified one. So here I will just get one. So this one. And after I can save and republish the file. So this is what's working for your CSS. So be sure to have an optimized CSS, not duplications. So here, to be honest, this one I think should be removed. So be careful, yeah, for the optimizations. And here we have the JavaScript one. So JavaScript one is exactly the same things. So you will do exactly the same things like the CSS. So we already include jQuery and Bootstrap for CSS and JavaScript. So you can use the standard one of Bootstrap and jQuery. We don't have all of the function and the style, but we have like 80% of the function and the style of Bootstrap and jQuery. So you can use different things in JavaScript. You can create some functions, create some new functionality, for example. But be careful with JavaScript because you can block, in fact, the load page and can have a bad SEO impact because Google now know if the SEO is blocking a page or not. So all optimization in JavaScript is very important. So if you are using blocking script like document.ready, for example, be careful with this one. It's really recommended to have only one per file, to not have many one per file because after you can just block the page loading. So here it's exactly the same things. If you want to modify it, you have to download it. And after, when you have done your modifications, you can re-upload it like the CSS. So to still in the CSS and JavaScript file, on the main folder here in India, we have some optimization about this file. So the optimization will be there. So in the media optimizations block, we have different things. We have the CDN, so have to be checked. You cannot uncheck it. Else you can just break some images in your website, so you have to let it check it. And after we have the critical CSS. So if you don't know what is the critical CSS and critical JavaScript, this is mean you don't need it. And after we have enable CSS and enable JavaScript optimizations. So this is really recommended because it will automatically compress your different file and have only one file and not multiple files. So this is mean you will have your CSS will be merged with the global CSS during the loading of the user. So this is mean the user will have only one file to download and not multiple files to download. So this is an optimization of CSS and JavaScript, and this is where you can HTML it. So just to recap, when, for example, you do some modifications here and you want to make it visible in the productions, you know we have the publish element, but here we have in the root folder of India. So if I publish element like with my default value with sub item and related item, in fact, I will publish the entire website, and this is not recommended to publish the entire website. So here the solution is to remove the publish sub-item. You can remove the publish related item, but by default I let it because we don't know any dependence with this item. So here I just can remove the sub-item, and after I will publish it, and it will just publish this item and it will not publish the sub-item. So you win time, and you will not publish all the different elements you have in your website. So after we have different things is about the tracking code and head scripts. So we have some BU are using header settings or footer settings to bring some tracking code or head script. This is not recommended because we have a part in the media library just allow you to bring some CSS and JavaScript, and this is where it is optimized. So it's not really recommended to put your tracking code, and all tracking code, in fact, will decrease the performance of the website. So JavaScript and CSS is directly linked to performance because I speak performance and performance, but this is directly related to performance because the only things you can do on the website is to bring some few elements more in your brand, but you cannot modify the brand. If you want to modify the brand, you have to have get validation from the global marketing. Even for JavaScript, if is not a correct action. So, I mean, when you click on the third button, and in fact, you will just open you a pop-up and not go to a specific page. So this is a different actions, and all these different actions or different brand CSS you can bring have to be validated if it's very different from the global design. So here I will just show you some things now we are doing. I don't know if you have your. I know I don't have it. So this is the Learn website. So here you have a performance item, and there you can see all the different performance. So this is only for performance. So your website is not live, so that's why you not see it. But else, for example, friends love tracking code and have a bad website. It's loading in 25 seconds. So here we can see a ranking, and we can see France is the last one. Germany too, like a tracking code, and after the other country, like the North country, don't have a lot of tracking code. The only tracking code, in fact, they have is the Google Analytics. So the Google Analytics is the most optimized, in fact, in our system because we implement it in the settings. So if you see it there, we have analytics sections, and here we can bring, in fact, the Google Analytics code to start the tracking. Even the tag manager, you can bring your tag manager there. Um, so this is how it should be for the tracking code. The better way is to use Tag Manager or Google Analytics and not bring some other tracking code because it can make the website slower. The other thing is about social network. So we know we have some BU are using, for example, the Facebook Messenger to have an instant messenger. So when you are using some JavaScript like that, be sure this JavaScript will not block your website. So this is not the case for the one who implement that. So here on the bottom, for example, we have a chat. So this is just a redirections, but we can have directly the box here in the page, and in fact, you can block the page. So that's why be careful with all the different JavaScript you are using, CSS. Everything have to be optimized, and everything have to be first check it if the global don't have these functions or don't have these design CSS properties. So after I have a question too is about the cookie. So they could have a cookie normally by default. So here on the bottom we see this website are using cookie. So we have a specific file is available for that. So you just need to bring it to your JavaScript things and modify the text if needed. So to find it, I think I have it in the documentations. Nope. So here, for example, you know where is the JavaScript one. So you can bring directly here to your website. So do you have any question about CSS and JavaScript file and all these different script things?
Well, it sounds good for now.
Okay, perfect. So here, for example, in this website, you can see blog. Yeah. So blog is a dynamic things. Yeah, good. So we will see how create another one, just to be sure how the process to create one, the process to add article, category, and the process to configure the blog and why sometimes a blog is not working. So normally it's just because some setting is missing, but so we will see it. So here we are in the website under home, so the structure of the website. So this is where you can directly add a blog. So you cannot create a blog under a specific page. So here, if I'm clicking in a specific page, I cannot create a blog under this one. So you can only create a blog under home. After you can move it, but by default, a blog have to be under the main root folder of the website. So here we see our current blog, so I will create just a new one. So I right click, insert, and here have feed blog. So we have blog and feed blog. So why I'm using feed blog and not blog? So this is depending, in fact, of the branding. So for example, Ladeco brand is using feed blog, and after we have some other brand are using the blog one. It's exactly the same functionality and exactly the same way to display. The only different is the brand. So we don't have the same style for each of them. So here I will click in feed blog and I will let feed blog. So has a whole different dynamic page in the website. You have to configure it. So this is mean you cannot directly see the results of a dynamic page. So the configuration is a little bit simple, but have to be set. So here, for example, we have at first blog search results page. So here I can expand my blog. And here we have to link our search results page of our blog um, and bring the link there. So to do that, you just click in Insert Link, and we'll link our blog search results here, component, Adeco brand, and there. So after you have the title, the email, test.adeco.com, you can choose a specific theme. So here, how many entries need to be displayed on blog? So this is very interesting. So this is a total of entry. So if tomorrow you have 100 entry and the value here is 50, you will just see 50 entry and the last one. You will not see the 50 holder. So this value is really important. Have to be set. It's better to have to set to a higher value if you want to see all the different article on your blog, and else you can set up limits on these fields. After comments need to be displayed on the sidebar, so just to know, a sidebar is the things on the left side. So we have a small block on the left side and the main block on the right side. So the sidebar is a smaller one. So here, the one on the left side. So here, in fact, we have the ability to display the different comments in this space. So how many I want? 5, for example. So image size, so this field is really important. So this is where you can set up a require file. So this a require size of file. So this is really important to understand. So if you want to have, for example, 300 by 300 pixel, all your images have to be this size to be accepted by a blog. So this can be interesting for if you have many different content manager and you want to be sure all the images is correctly formatted. Else can be really difficult to manage your different article, because if you are set up image size, you cannot put another size of images. All the images have to respect this image size. So by default, many business units are using blog are not set up here an image size to be sure they have a freedom, in fact, about the size of images. After we have some few options. So a snippet page is the first one. So the listing one. So here, for example, we have a snippet page. So a list of different articles, and after, when we are in there, we have our blog post page. So this is the difference between both. You always have this difference. So sometimes we call it snippet, and we will see just after later which name we can give to these few elements. Because here, snippet is just the small information you will bring to your different block of articles. So if I would like to bring an images in a snippet, so it's a small block there, I will check this box. So the box by default is already checked. So here this is mean if in my article have any images, it will be displayed directly there. Like for static content, we have our body sections. Um, as usual, we have our require fields, so title and descriptions. Your meta robots, header space, body space. This one we are not using it. Navigations. But we are in a deco brand, so we will not use it. Oh. Ah. And at the end we have blog options, blog header, and we have blog extra, if I'm not saying wrong. No, and entry settings, sorry. So here, in fact, we have more options, more settings in the blog. So the first one is RSS. So some people want RSS each time they have a blog. So here you can enable an RSS output of your blog. You can by default enable comment for each article in your blog, or else maybe this is just a blog for information, so it depends. If you want to have different informations in the text, in the snippet, where normally the image is, here you have the ability to show an email of each comment. In fact, when you have a comment for this specific article, you can have the email of the user. So you can here hide it if you need. After we have some few options like enable gravatar and after gravatar size, styles, rating, and dictionary folder. All these different values. This is a standard from Sitecore, and we are not under it. So you can use it, but it's not really useful, in fact, for our business. So this is just a small icon before a comment. In fact, before the email of the user, we have a small icon, so gravatar, and it's always the same for everybody. So that's why it's not really useful for our business. Here we have our translations for the sidebar. You know the sidebar on the left side. So here you can translate everything from the sidebar. So many entry you want per page, sorry. So if you want to have a 15 per page or 20 per page, here you can select directly. And at the end, we have the last settings for global settings of blog. If you want to enable comment count, so this is in the snippet, on the listing. You can have directly the number of comments. You can have a link to read more, the posted date, the different tags you can bring to your article, and there and after them link to directly redirect to the comment sections of the article. Sorry. So we just activate everything. And when you have done, just click Instate there. So after, the thing with dynamic page is you have to go through all the different item in the main item just to be sure everything is configured. Most of the issue I have some to business unit, in fact, is only because a configuration is missing. So it's really recommended to reread again all the different configurations for each different pages and each different configuration to be sure everything is set up correctly. So here we'll click in category. So we have to add less than one category on the blog. So I will add one. And here be sure to have the category title. So here, for example, the issue is if you have a multilingual website, um, sometimes you can forget to set up the settings in the other languages because when you have a multilingual website, you will do everything two times, for example, for two different languages. And sometimes you forgot to do the same settings as your main languages. So be sure to really go through all the different elements there. So here I will create the category 1 and maybe the category 2. Same format. There you go. So here everything is configured for category. I can go directly to my blog search results page. So here I always have my body sections and I have my configuration. So my blog main page URL. So this is really interesting configurations because the main page of your blog can be um, on different pages. So you can create fake pages and link your blog to these fake pages. So this is possible. So by default, we are linked our main item there, but you can link another item directly and then add the good components in the presentation's details, and it will work too. So here I will do in the classical way. So item India feed blog and no feed blog. So this is the main item and here blog search page and descriptions. I don't know if I spoke about the navigations. Yep, right. And that's it. Here you have the ability to remove the social share if you need it, like for every pages. And the last one is the blog entry. So here, if you are using RSS, you have to set up this page. So here you have to list all the different items. So this is the issue with this one, for example, is you have to create article before to set up the RSS. So this is can be logical, but can be weird too. So here the title is required, so we'll put the title. So here RSS, descriptions, and that's it. I will save. And now we will create our first article. So to create your first article, you just need to right click in the feed folder in the main one. Here we go. So here directly our free blog is directly created. So we can see some things are really bizarre is you have 2015 and after December, but this is not the correct addresses. So this is logical. This is when the blog, in fact, was installed in Sidecar. So this is our first date, but this is not an issue for right now. So we just complete our blog and we will see, in fact, this date which we change automatically. So here we have our feed entry. We have our body section as usual. Um, a creative work schema. So if you are working with creative work schema here, you can bring your images for this particular article. There we have the category. So you have to search it first. So and there category, yes. And after we have information about the article. So this is where all the information have to be bring. So the title of your article, introductions, and the content. After you can bring an images, a specific images. So we'll do it just to show you the snippet image and all these things. So you will take your folder, yeah, this one for example. The metadata information, so the title. And there we have a tag and the author. So we select the options to show the tag, so we'll just show you. Else you cannot bring some tags, and in fact the sections tag will just be automatically removed or in this specific article because you don't have tags. So here I go and I put maybe that. Um, and here we have the entry date, so we just click in today. And after we have some options in the article is to have for example, disable comment and all these different things. So um, we have the default things like super social share and all these things. But for example, if you enable comment in all your blog, but you don't want to have a comment in this particular article, you can unactivate it even for some other informations. If you check hide author name in this particular blog article, if you want to show it, you can just click in these options, and this is the same things for the other element there. And when you have done, you just click on save. And now, if you see here, we have our folder 2017 and our folder October directly there. I will take the name of my blog. And this. Here we go. So here we have our article, so I can maybe duplicate this one. I will just change the name to make the difference. Here we go. So we have our article 1, and where is my article 2? So I remove the cache. Nope. So maybe, so it's not maybe, but we have a small cache. So I think in 5-10 minutes we will see the other one. So here we have the name of our article. So this is article. We have our date, name, author, the comments count, and the leave a comments actions directly there, and the read more button. We have our sidebar with our RSS information, but this is not working for the RSS because you remember we don't configure it yet, and our different archives. So this is, I think, cache too. So that's why we don't see the good dates here. So we can click directly on the button, and we have our images directly there with all the different information. So you can bring comments directly there. So and you click on I'm not a robot. So there you don't have the right to send email for right now, I think, because your shell setup should not be finished, or you have to I need to see with the support for that. But this is not a big issue. It's just because your website is not live, so you don't know the URL. So here I can publish. You have my content available in productions. And here we can see the results. So we have some item created. So we'll see later. I think we just have to wait to refresh. So this is our working blog. We have different dynamic component, and it's always working like that. So always remember you have to go through all the different item in your main item to be sure all the configuration is correctly set up. Even in each languages, if you are using multiple lingual websites, you have to check for every languages if the configuration is the correct one. Sometimes we have share configurations between languages, but this is not automatic sometimes. So you have to check everything's to be sure to have the correct configurations. And after, always get in mind you we have a cache system in in the production server, in the pre-production servers too. This is just to improve performance for our user. Normally, you will not have this same cache in UATR integration server. So be a little bit patient with that because this is already built for optimizations. So sometimes you have, like here, we have to wait 50 minutes to be sure the content is correctly generated and to check. Um, so now, do you have any question about blog before I jump to resources? So this is like a resources, like a blog item, but with different values. So that's why I will present it.
Well, seems to be pretty straightforward as of now. Although we do not have a resources section in our website. So, but you can just run us through it quickly. But blog, sounds and looks pretty straightforward. So I think it shouldn't be much of a problem.
Okay, great. So resources, we'll just go through. Um, Resources is like a blog. So the purpose of resources is really to stock some documentations, some informations. We can have these informations from um, this one and this one. So here, for example, the Learn website is using the resources components. So the resources component have different value, like you can have a type. So this is an article or a PDF. You can have sections, so performance sections, components, SEO, job search, and all these different things. So it can be interesting, and even a search bar directly available there. And after we have a listing page, so I know we will see just after friends are using the listing page. More user-friendly, in fact. But this is a different way to see the blogging system, in fact. We cannot call this component or this item, sorry, a blog. This is really a resources component where you can manage all the different resources of your website. So France is using this one there in the menu directly. So they put directly some filter in the URL and now have the correct questions. This is all only questions and answer. So this is like a FAQ. So just put the question and there all the different answer they can have from different different purpose or something like that. So this can be interesting. The configuration is exactly the same one as blog. So we don't go through the configurations, but you can only insert a resources component under the home folder, and you have to go through all the different informations in the resources. So in the resources, you will have three different category. So by default, you will have a type category, industry category, and the main category. So this is mean you can create three different type of category, and after you can filter on the three different type of category. So this is more to manage documentations or to manage questions or something like that, less for blogging system. But both are really linked because this is like the same presentations of informations. So else, if you really need to see this resources component and you want to try it in your websites, you go through the Learn website, you just search resources and you will find the documentation or resources. So this is a really easy one to install. So you have an Adecco website, and each Adecco website have the branch locator components. So here we have the branch locator components. I don't think this is a correct. No. So you don't set up yet. Nope, you don't set up it yet. So be careful with the spreadsheets. You have to bring the spreadsheet to the database team or to the Redo team with all the different branch you have in your business units. Um, I don't know if I have an example. Yeah.
Yeah, so to start with, we are not going to go ahead with the branch locator because we are in a bit of hurry to launch the website. But then going forward, we'll have it.
So, um, so you know already all the process?
Pardon?
You already know all the process?
No, no. What I'm telling you is to start with, we are not having a branch locator. It is just going to be a text page with name and address of all the locations. Branch locator component will be added eventually.
Oh, eventually. Okay. So like I jump in the job search.
Job search, again, we are doing it in-house.
So you will have just to be sure. So I will take just note. So you have a Adecco website, Adecco brand website without branch locator and job search for right now.
So I, I didn't get a question. Can you come again, please?
So you have Adecco brand websites, and in there at this beginning, you will not have branch locator and job search when the website will
Yes.
go live.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And do you know when this is scheduled, or do you have already a calendar for that or not?
Oh, we already have the calendar. We are launching it on November 23rd.
For yeah, for the go live, but after for to set up the job search and the branch together.
Well, so the job search is something that we are doing on our own. It'll be an in-house development, so I don't think that will come up ever. The branch locator we will see after the final launch because we have to get GPS location of 20 odd locations. I have close to 30 locations already with me. So that and we had to launch the website, so we are postponing it. But the dates are still not clear, but it's going to be after November 23rd.
Okay. So well, this is two big sections on the day two. Uh, do you have any questions or any subjects you want to speak during this training?
Well, nothing as of now. As I told you, once when we start working, we might, end up in roadblocks, and that's when we might require your help, at least initially. But as of now, I don't think the three of us, have any question
Um,
about. Yeah, the
And
process is now.
when do you will start to configure the website?
Configure the website.
Yeah, to bring in because you will have a go live, but before you have to set up the pages and set up the content, no?
The team is already doing it as we speak. We have to get into the testing process from 11th of this month itself.
Hmm.
And that's when I'll go through the entire website and go through the content and everything and give them all the changes and small changes and errors and mistakes and all of that. And after that, we'll go live.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, so if you have any questions, please be free to reach me by email,
Okay.
so I can get help get a good answer.
Yeah, sure.
So else, yeah, for me it's done. I was a little bit
I know.
surprised, yeah, because I scheduled many things, but in fact you are not using it. So
Yeah.
okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's it for me for today. So we'll
Okay.
bring share with you this recorded video,
Yes, please.
and yeah, we'll bring some few links to like for the first email, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you don't have any questions, have a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.